kicked off. But we're back. And hopefully... I promise it's not COVID. It was a hasty bull rip in combination with sleeping outdoors during this weather. Fuck. Weather. This shit air quality. Let's see what the air quality is today. The air quality in Denver on Saturday, which usually doesn't matter that much, but when you're sleeping in a fucking tent, it definitely matters. Yeah, the air quality in Denver was the worst in the world. Not the worst in the country. The worst in the world. Worse than fucking Mumbai and the industrial zones of China and shit. Because of the forest fires in California, right? The wind blows it all out here. It gets stuck on the Rockies. Can't go over the mountains. Or I guess it can go over it. Can't get far because the cold of the mountains sort of holds it. I'm not sure exactly. Point being, all that smoke from California wildfires landed here in Colorado and has just been Friday, Saturday. Yesterday was okay, actually. The air quality was not good, but at least you could see. But Saturday, you couldn't fucking see. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. So, yes, it's not COVID. I'm just coughing because I've been breathing shit air. Shout out to Magnolia Meow. Shout out to Carol Scott, MTL YTS. MT Lights? I don't know. I can't get that. Hopefully Carol will come and correct me. And Magnolia Cat, who may or may not be the same person as Magnolia Meow. Which, you know what? Frankly, I'll take both follows. I don't care. I appreciate it. You follow me from every account you got. I love it all. Let me scroll up in my mini feed here. Oh, that's interesting. My mini feed is out of date. That never happens. Cool. Well, we'll hang in. We'll hang here. And there we go. We got people showing up. Hey, everybody. Who do we got? It's not telling me yet. Well, welcome to whoever's showing up. I'll find out who you are soon, I guess. Or you could say what's up. It's good to see you guys. And like I said, it's been very cool for me to disengage from all this and be in nature for a few days. But it's good to be back. I'm going back out there tonight, actually. I just came home to do the cast, ship some orders, compound some stuff. And then I'm going back to the woods. I'll be back. I'm sleeping here tomorrow night, but we'll sleep back up there tonight. Fam's all up there and stuff. I just came back to do the thing. So shout out to everybody who has tuned in. Go ahead and say hi in the chat so I know who you are. Because again, my the lag, it just doesn't show me who's where, what's what. I never know. I never know when to start. It's a mess. It's a complete mess. There we go. Andy WMT, I am Liam X, and Snow Off the Bluff. I got you three here. I can see you're here. Welcome to each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'm just, I guess, enjoying having a roof. Digging, getting used to having walls and a roof. It's very interesting, man. It's very interesting to spend most of your time outside. Keeping the fire is my favorite thing. It's one of the things I was teaching the kids. Ancestrally speaking, the fire wouldn't go out. You don't put the fire out before you go to sleep. You need the fire when you go to sleep to keep the animals from coming in and keep your feet warm, because you'd sleep around the fire with your feet facing. And we don't have to go that far ancestral. You go back, 150 years to cowboy times, probably even 100 years. Possibly even less than that. Keeping the fire is, inherently sacred, and when you do it, it speaks so much about devotion, just spiritual interaction, right? If you don't feed it, it goes out. And again, you go back to a time where, real ancestral time, where fire was something that we found, not something we made, real far back. Fuck, man, you lose that thing. Maybe you'll find another one sometime. It's another thing once you know how to make fire. Even then, you want to keep it going rather than let it die. We were watching, a few weeks ago, I showed some videos of Bushmen hunting in Africa, right? I don't know if I showed, there's one I watched with my kid. There's a bunch where they're chilling out, smoking weed with the fire that they brought with them. But there was one that I was showing my kid, which was really cool, because when you're in, interior Africa, we don't think about it. It's fucking rainforest, right? It's soaking wet. Everything's soaking wet. The humidity's 100%. Everything's covered in water. And you're out there trying to shoot bows and blowguns and throw spears and shit. Everything's slippery. You're soaking wet. So fires, maybe you don't need to be warmed by fire, but you need fire to be dried. And it's super important to those cultures to have the fire. So, what is left in your campfire at the end, that burning log, that's it, man. If you and carrying that log and blowing it up back into a flame and lighting fires off of it, that's a very venerable ancient practice, because everything comes from that, right? Whether you're going to talk about, smithing iron or whatever the fuck you're going to do, if you don't have fire, you're not doing it. Cooking food, baking clay, the basic fundamentals of society, you need the fire for. Even crafting a lot of weapons, you need at least coals or fire, heat to shape things. So, and as I was saying to my kid, can you imagine back before our ancestors had fire, how cold they were, just every night. So yeah, working with fire and keeping fire, it's so promising for developing a lot of stuff, right? Yes, you have to feed it, you have to keep it. But for example, this is one thing that I kept thinking about. People always ask when you're making like a mojo bag or any, a fetish doll, something holding a spirit, right? You're supposed to blow the breath of life into it. And you hear that in all the instructions, and you see that in all the instructions. Everyone says, blow the breath of life. And people say, well, what is the breath of life? How do I know if I'm blowing the breath of life? And some people will just go something like that, or something like that. Maybe that's a little better. But if you want to know what it's like to blow the breath of life, get that, burnt log that still has like slight embers on it, and the breath that you need to bring that back to a flame is the breath of life, right? It's a slow, steady, deep breath. And that's what you can, that shit's not going to work. But if you two or three of those, and anything's going to be a flame, right? And that's the breath of life, right? And it directly corresponds to spiritual practice. Everything about keeping a fire, right? It's keeping fire was conceived of as a living thing until pretty recently. Generally, broad picture speaking, it exhibits most of the signs of life, right? It consumes, it excretes, it moves, it grows. I forget what all the signs of life are, right? But fire meets almost all of them except homeostasis. I think that's the only thing it doesn't do. It reproduces. I forget what they all are. And then if you read like one of my favorite books, Seven Mysteries of Life, he makes a very compelling argument that actually fire meets all the definitions for life, as do sand dunes and a lot of other things. Anyway, I just been jabbering, waiting for people to show up. We're off time here. Who knows who's going to show up when, all that stuff. But it's good to see all you guys. I like jabbering about fire. So the other cool thing that we did was, and I posted some pictures to the Instagram story, I taught the kid to walk with deer. It's like stalking deer, but if you don't intend to kill them, you're not stalking them. You're just walking with them. But yeah, I mean, getting within a yard and a half of deer without them running, and having them kind of chill, having them come over to you is the ultimate goal. If they take an interest to you to the point where they walk over to you, then you're doing a fantastic job. We were pretty close, but there was a little unwanted eye contact. If you make eye contact, that motherfucker's gonna run. You cannot make eye contact. You have to pretend to be grazing and all this stuff. It was a lot of fun teaching her to track and all that stuff. Diviana, welcome. Looks like we got more folks in the mix here. So we were going to pick up with the video series we've been looking at, but I'll wait till I have everyone confirmed in the chat. Maybe I'll ramble more about why I think camping's awesome. Living without clocks and calendars, whew, that's the best. That's the best, man. You know when you're really tired. You know when you're really awake. All that good stuff. Misery Pimp, good morning and welcome. Welcome. Hey, everybody. Okay, people are the crowd. The gang's all here, or big gang's all here. Maybe not everybody. Check my air quality today. Oh, there's an air quality alert. Yeah. Like I was saying, the air is fucked from these wildfires in California. We couldn't see the stars first 2 nights. Curly Q, welcome. Cool. Well, looks like we got a good turnout, so we might as well segue over here. Let's see if I can bring it up on my my XSplit. There we go. Nice. So if I remember correctly, we ran all the way through part 4, did the beginning of part 5, and hit pause. I'll be honest, gang. This series is very long. I think it's longer. He stopped at 10 here. I think it's longer. Let me see. Let me refresh it. Because he kept saying he was going to keep going. Maybe he got it all done in 10. And if he's at 10, I think we can do the whole thing. Let's see. Okay, so we only did 10 of these. Okay, we can do the whole thing. I feel confident in that. I thought this was going to be like developing as fast as we were catching up with it. And then I was going to deliver the sad news that I didn't think we were going to finish the whole thing. Because as much as I love reviewing this stuff with you guys, there's other stuff I like talking about. Hey, Mad with Hats. You made a different, obviously, you made a different Discord name. It was good to see you, bro. Unless are you watching on YouTube, maybe. It was good to see you, bro. All right, so we were on part 5. We were about 10 minutes in.
Always, of course,
and we'll jump back into it. I'll put my headphones on. As usual, I will translate anything that needs translation or break down any concepts that I think either are, sort of specialized knowledge or assumed knowledge specifically for an educated Jewish audience, which you may not have an education on Judaism, so that's what I can help with. Or if it ties in with like magical stuff that, or spiritual stuff that is not sort of implied here or even in the context here, like a lot of these things will tie in. He's basically talking about different classes of demons in a lot of ways, so obviously there's tie-in. So with that said, we'll continue. I got my headphones on here. And let's
but
see.
still you have to go. You still have to fight the klipa. You still have to go through the...
So what he's talking about here, he was talking about free will. He was kind of talking about free will, kind of talking about how God allows evil to exist. The not uncommon question among observant Jews of like, one of the first questions you get to in Judaism is how did God allow the Holocaust to happen? And as he said, like, God didn't allow the Holocaust to happen. God made. If you believe in God, you have to assume that God made the Holocaust and every other thing happen according to a divine will, right? And that all the human agents thereof had to be under divine control. So we continue.
This challenge. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu is sending it all to us, and there's a lot of good reasons.
So he'll go into reasons. I guess Kadosh Baruch Hu, again, is a Holy One, blessed be He, which is a way to refer to God.
One of the reasons that I can tell you now that you can maybe have a little bit of rest in your mind is because when we are under pressure, that's when we really refine ourselves. That's when we get the junk off us. Because when Adam HaRishon, who's the main soul of all souls,
Adam HaRishon is man the first. Adam. We call him Adam in English, but literally it means man the first. And the word man is maybe not great because it comes from, we'll say the first man, right? Or so Adam. But as I said in an earlier one, probably more accurate is like Clay the first, like a dude named Clay. Because Adam and Adamah, the word for earth or clay, are basically the same.
When he sinned in Gan Eden, then the
Gan Eden is the Garden of Eden.
Teachings of Kabbalah explains that his neshama, so to say, exploded into billion pieces.
Neshama is your soul.
And billions of sparks came out of his soul that fell down into the physical world and got trapped in the klipa. The klipa is a spiritual husk, an energy that contains the kedusha to control it and to protect it. And each
kedusha is holiness, and what he's getting out here is that when Adam kind of, and look, I don't take this as a literalist moral tale, so I'm not going to pitch it to you like that. But when Adam ensconced himself in the material, it caused a perfect essence that was similar to God's or an angel's to fracture, to descend in magnitude from a more, how do I want to say it? A more subtle realm into the tangible realm. In order to do that, it has to fracture like light going through a prism. And in doing so, the kedusha, the holiness, the essence of light, the singularity, whatever your model calls for, became ensconced in these klipot, right? It means husks or shells, these lower forms that, in a way, protect it, right? Keep it intact, keep it from further descent.
Every one of us is that spark, and
yes, the basic teaching of Kabbalah is that's where we come from, right? That we are, all of us are those sparks of God that went into man, Adam, Clay the first, whatever. That spark, that light, that ray went through sort of a splitting event, like a prism, and makes all of us.
By me doing my efforts in this world, and I polish this spark and I elevate it to its source. And when Mashiach is going to come, all the sparks are going to come together. So one of them...
Mashiach is, of course, Messiah.
Many reasons is I have to go through some type of suffering. And I know a lot of people don't get it. Why do I have to go through suffering? Well, if you want to have a nice body, you have to go to a gym. And then you have to work 3 hours a day and sweat and have a very strict diet. And after 3 years, you'll have a very nice body, right? So yeah, it has to come up with how it works. I've never seen anybody going to the gym and sitting like this and then taking a Twinkie and opening it. You have to work. Now, even if you sit on the bench like this without eating the Twinkie, are you going to get any results? You need to push, you need to pull, you need to sweat. And the more you work, the better the result. It's called resistance. So, in order to clean myself spiritually, it has to be some type of a resistance, an effort. If it comes easy, then I didn't do anything here.
And we can move to different paradigms, right? We can look at Taoism or whatever, where it's, or even just basic semantics, right? Good cannot exist without evil. So if we want to attain goodness, we need evil to check against. Or we could just look at, business, right? You cannot improve what you cannot measure, and if you don't have anything to measure against, you cannot measure.
Now just imagine that my soul, my and everybody's soul, is stuck in impurity, and I need to remove it. And the same that if I have a stain on my jacket, if it's just a little bit of dust, I'll just blow it off. But if it's very deep into the fabric, I need to steam it with boiling hot water or with steam. And that doesn't guarantee that the stain will come out. So what, the jacket says I'm suffering? Well, the jacket doesn't say anything. But the same thing with me. How do I get the junk out of me? I need to suffer. That's how the system works. Now, I wouldn't do it to myself because I don't have the capacity to put myself through this stage of purity. So Hashem has to put leaders on us that press us. It says in the Talmud, in Tractate Sanhedrin, if we do tshuva as a nation, then miyad nigalim, then we get redeemed. Ve'im lav, and if we don't, ma'amid ani alehem melech, I will put on them a king, shegzerotav kashot k'shel Haman, that his decrees are worse than Haman, umachziram lamutav, and he will make them do tshuva.
Haman, again, that character in the book of Esther who becomes a minister of state in Persia and makes all these decrees to kill the Jews.
So that's what's going on. Hashem gives us the opportunity. Do tshuva. You're not going to put tshuva. I'm going to put on you a king. It can be a king, a president. Talmud calls it a king. King means a ruler. And he will oppress you. He will put a lot of decrees on you. And you will scream, Hashem, help us. Get us out of this. Exactly what happened in the time of Haman. Exactly what happened in many times in history. So we kind of need these evil puppets because they put us on the right track. Now, of course, comes the whole question. I mean, after all, even though if they're puppets and they do what Hashem tells them, then do they have their free will? Are they acting by their own?
I always forget to say this. Hashem literally means the name. It's what observant Jews call God.
Decisions. Maybe Hashem is doing that. We'll have to discuss everything. But first, let's clear out who are these people, and then we can start dissecting what's the story behind it, and why I need to understand that, and why I need to be educated. A lot of people say, who cares about the Erev Rav? I just need to pay my rent. Well, you need to care about the Erev Rav, to be careful, to know how to prepare yourself, to know what's coming, and to know that also as much as we're suffering by the Erev Rav, Hashem is going to be the Savior that's going to come to save the day. Very soon, Bezrat Hashem. So with that very, very short...
Erev Rav, of course, is the group we're talking about here. It says it right above him. Bezrat Hashem means by the help of God, by the will of God, basically.
Short introduction. Let's get to the text. So we concluded that there are 5 types of the Erev Rav. The first one is the Amalek, who are the leaders and rulers of the world, which, again, with an exception, because there can be many, many leaders and rulers that are under the control of the Erev Rav. They're being bribed. They're being pressured, they're being bought, they're being threatened, and many other ways, so they will dance to their tunes. Then the second one was the Nephilim, and we explained that these are the adulterers, which in most cases, the Amalek will be adulterers at the same time, and we gave a quick example. I hope I'm not offending anybody. We gave a quick example of Epstein, who's a great example, and all the clan that going and joining the Epstein's Island. They're all the elite, they're all the Erev Rav, and they're all adulterers. And one can be both and one can be just one, but the Nephilim are the adulterers. And in most cases, I know it's hard to imagine, but most of the world leaders are perverts. Either with kids, either with all sorts of sick things that I don't want to even think where it goes to. But you use your own imagination, and that's usually the case. Some of them get caught, like Clinton got caught with Monica Lewinsky, and the rest don't get caught. I'm sure a lot of them get caught and somehow buy their way out of it. But the point is that these are the adulterers. The third group was the Giborim, and that's what we explained in last class, and these are the ones who pretend to be rabbis, the ones who pretend to be spiritual Jewish leaders that build synagogues, that build yeshivot, that they spend a lot of money just for their own honor, not for the sake of Hashem, and that is more connected to the Torah world. I would say that as an arm or a branch would be the exact same thing as spiritual leaders of other faiths. Because even in Christianity and in other faiths, there are true inspiring leaders, and there are the fake ones. The fake ones who go and make all these fake shows and they get a lot of money. So I would say it's kind of equivalent in all groups. But here he's talking about specifically in the Jewish faith, and I know it might be shocking to you, but I don't even want to say in percentage because that's what people get upset at me, but I would say that a very large amount of Jewish leaders in this respect are corrupt and are exactly this Erev Rav. And when Mashiach is going to come, there's going to be a lot of shame. A lot of big rabbis that have a big name, and people like, this is like the giant of the generation. And I'm not saying names or pointing at anybody, but you'll wait and see that when Mashiach is going to come, and it's happening now even before Mashiach comes, they're popping up like mushrooms after the rain. Suddenly this rabbi is found that he's molesting kids, this rabbi is found that he's raping. But there's going to be a lot of surprises. The people are going to literally rip hairs out of their head, and him, and hiding behind a suit and a hat and a beard and a lot of Torah. And yeshivot. Yeshivot means, for the ones who don't know what the yeshiva means, that a Torah study institute and big synagogues and so forth. And I saw a lot of it with my own eyes. And it's actually, forget about the shameful and disappointing. It's shocking when you see it with your own eyes. When you see a person who's pretending to be so pious or seems like a scholar, and then you see that the whole organization is corrupt, and money and control and power and Hashem Merachem. I think it's one of the worst. Okay, so these are the three groups that we went through. Today we're going to go through the fourth group, and they are called Rephaim. If you want to follow, we're learning from the Zohar, Parashat Bereshit, page 25b. The line starts with Rephaim, Mina Revi'ah. Rephaim is the name of the fourth group, and it says that's the fourth species. This is fourth from the five groups of the Erev Rav that got mixed with the nation of Israel, and they are called Rephaim. Now, for the ones who know Hebrew, Rephaim sounds like spirits, right? Because for the ones who know Hebrew, there's a term that is called Ruchot veRephaim. Ruchot is spirits, and Rephaim are the evil spirits. But let me explain then.
In that, it's like almost like phantoms or ghosts. The exact translation is it's a little hard.
We'll go back to that. And he says as follows. Im yechezu liYisrael bedochaka, if they see, these Rephaim, the nation of Israel that are under a lot of pressure and going through a lot of problems. Now, when do you see the nation of Israel under a lot of pressure and going through a lot of problems? And 85 years ago, the nation of Israel was under a lot of pressure. And they went through a lot of problems during the Holocaust. And this is one time out of many. I'm just now, so you can get the idea. Mitrapin minayhu, they leave them. They don't have anything to do with them. Ve'einam mishtatfim betzaram, and they don't join in their sorrow. Now, I don't know, many people, again, unfortunately, many people don't really know what was going on in the Holocaust. Most people don't even know what was going on. People do not know that a decade before that there was warning and threats. People saw the writing on the wall. It's not that Hitler just popped out of nowhere. 1933, when he was elected, in a so to say democratic way, wasn't any democracy there, but right from the get-go, even before he was elected, he was already preparing a propaganda and saying publicly out of the open that he's going to annihilate the Jews and all the rest of the junk that he thought or saw that it's like the junk of the earth. So it's not that it was some surprise. But, maybe at one time we should do some classes to educate a lot of people really what was going on in the Holocaust, because people just go by the little stories that they see and some pictures that they saw in the Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial. Most people don't really know what was going on there. The corruption. I'm not talking about now the suffering of the death camps. That's one thing. But what was going on behind the scenes? Who was running the show? What was the political maneuver here? You know that a lot of people really don't like hearing that. But we were the guinea pigs 85 years ago to the third and final Holocaust that we're in right now. So what our brothers and sisters and parents and grandparents went through in the Holocaust 85 years ago, that was just the trial of the final Holocaust. They knew then it's not going to work 100%, but let's start testing it. Needless to say, what human experimenting they went through and everything, most people really don't know what was going on. But why am I saying this? Because a lot of people, when they saw that the situation is going down, they backed up and sold their brothers for nothing. I'm talking about leaders, I'm talking about Jewish leaders also. He's over there, they're hiding over there. And many other stories. And this is not only in the Holocaust. Go 50 years prior to that to Soviet Union. Well, don't you think there were many Jews that they sold their brothers and sisters just like that to the government? So this is what he's saying here. Ozvim otam, when they see trouble is coming, no. I don't want to be part of them. And right away, they're not participating in that and saying, I will sell my devil to the soul, just don't take me to suffer with the rest of my brothers and sisters. So people saw it clearly in the Holocaust. People saw it clearly prior to that, 100, 120 years ago in Soviet Union, and many other cases. Go now 2,500 years ago at the time of the story of Hanukkah. When there was a lot of people there, they were called mityavnim. They were like, don't touch us. We'll become on your side, and we'll give in our brothers and sisters. So it's coming from Jews and non-Jews alike. How many times did you see in history that there are Gentiles, that they are business partners, good neighbors, and so forth with the Jews? The second that something broke up, no, we're not your friends anymore. Can you hide us? No, we can't hide you. Can you help us? No, we can't help you. Not only that they have the option of saving them, they don't want to save them, they also are preventing themselves from protecting them. And again, one example out of many, look at the time of the Holocaust. Let's go back in the time machine 90 years ago. What do you think, the Jews just lived in some camp there? The Jews lived exactly like how they live right now in America. No difference. Go now to America, to North America, Jews live in big cities, Miami, Chicago, Los Angeles. What do you think, they live in little colonies of Jews? They're mixed. Some Jews, and the rest are Gentiles. Okay, here and there you'll find some neighborhoods that are the majority Jews. And I'm not talking right now about the Haredi, the Orthodox, that they're really in these shtetls, and they're all surrounded. But even they're also mixed in America. Right? You go to America, go to New York. Okay, so you have 200,000 Haredis in Borough Park. There's no Gentiles in between. So okay, they're like closing themselves in a Monsey, in a Monroe, in a Lakewood. But it doesn't matter, they're still mixed with Gentiles. But you go to places like Miami, West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, well, they're not mixed with the Gentiles. Now they're good friends, neighbors. How are you, Joe? I'm great. Merry Christmas, Joe. They're friends. Listen, I lived in America almost 20 years. What, you don't think I had Gentile friends? How are you? And to do Kiddush Hashem, we treat them nice. Why not? They treat you nice. They're friends. So what do you think, it was different in Germany? Or in Poland? Or in Czechoslovakia or Romania? They lived exactly like they live in America. And in most cases lived well. they had businesses, they had money, and they could be easily in the same building with Gentiles, and they were friends. But the second that the Nazis came into Germany, or Poland or whatever, you think that the Gentiles were such good friends? They're a minority that they maybe helped, hide, assisted. The majority were like, no, I don't know you.
I mean, it's not unlike ICE in this country.
You were my best friend for 20 years. I don't know you. So what is he saying here? They have the ability to save them, they don't save them. And not only them, they're not even doing anything to protect. What do you think when the Nazis, Imach Shimam Vezicham, went into Berlin or Frankfurt or other cities, Warsaw, the Gentiles, the citizens there were standing there and looking. And most of them were happy and cheering. Why? Because they can go and loot their houses. Did you see any riots from the Berliners rioting, telling the Nazis, leave them alone, they're good people? They were all standing aside. What do you think? The Nazis paid all the Germans to go on vacation, they didn't see what's going on. And I'm just using Germany, anywhere. They were just standing there, and nobody said anything. What, you don't think that the Gentiles who lived in Romania...
There are exceptions to this in the Holocaust, though. Like in, I want to say Copenhagen, like the king stood out there, put on a yellow star with all the people of the... Is it Krakow? I want to say it's Krakow. No, I don't fucking know, dude. Copenhagen, maybe. I learned this shit in middle school, man. I don't really remember. But there was a place where, like, the king and all the citizens did actually do that. So, just a counterpoint. It's good to know that there's, like, light in the darkness here, because it's pretty grim shit.
Czechoslovakia and all these countries, they didn't see those long lines of Jews standing there with their suitcases. Nobody said anything. Who cared? And I'm just giving an example now of Europe. So go now 100 years back to the Soviet Union and go 500 years to many other places. What do you think 500 years ago in the Spanish Inquisition and anything was different? So the Jews were lived around all the Gentiles, and then there was the Inquisition. Somebody came to save them. Somebody came to say and stop what you're doing. And then the thing is that, you know, I don't like using the word even anti-Semitism, but we'll use it now for the sake of the example. You think that the people, the Jews in America, that live now in America, if chas v'shalom something like this is going to happen, you think really a lot of the Americans are going to come to save the Jews? Pfft. A minority will. The majority will say, who cares? I care about these guys. I don't care about them. Even in America, a lot of people, they smile to the Jews, they pretend they like them, and deep down inside, they can't stand them. Thinking they control the banks and Hollywood and all this nonsense that people are fed with. But nevertheless, so this Erev Rav, they have the ability to save the nation of Israel, and they don't even do anything to save them or to prevent any evil to coming from them. וזה סימן שאינם מבני ישראל. And that's the sign for you that they're not from the nation of Israel. And that's, you saw, again, in the Holocaust, Soviet Union, in the Holocaust, there were all these kapos. They were Jews. How were they called in Soviet Union? The ones who gave everybody to the KGB, they had a name. What? No. There was Jews that they would turn in other Jews. There's a name for them. Not the kapos, something like kapos, but in Soviet Union they had a name. As I once had a long talk with a survivor, and he told me, no, they had a certain... Huh? Maybe.
Well,
okay. Same type like the kapos. They were Jews, but they would participate and they would cooperate with the authorities, sell their brothers like as if nothing happened. This is a sign they're not really from the nation of Israel. Because in most cases, you see that in the nation of Israel, mosrim nafsham al tzarot hatzibur, that people would risk their own life to save an entire congregation or an entire community. Not only that they don't do anything to save, they don't do anything to prevent, they don't participate, they also turn them in, but more than that, they mitrapin meoraita, they leave the Torah, leharpot. We just read now in the Torah about all the stations, all the journeys. One of them it's called refidim. And why is it called refidim? Because leharpot is to let go. And there, the nation of Israel let go from the Torah. In many cases,
Sorry, I had to cut in because I made that claim and I researched it, and I think that was just some bullshit they gave me in a book that I read in middle school or elementary school. I don't think that any king or leader ever did anything like that, and I have to retract my previous statement.
and you see it again in many times, and even in our generation, that people leave the Torah because they don't want to be associated or connected in any type of way to being a Jew. So these group, they leave the Torah, ואת אלו העוסקים בה. And not only that, they also disconnect any ties with the ones who are affiliated with the Torah. And also the ones who are supporting the Torah. ולכן הם נקראים רפאים. That's why they're called רפאים. Because שהם נרפים. They're letting go. How many times there were Jews, if they're really Jews, that say, I don't want to take my yarmulke off, but take the yarmulke off, throw the tzitzit. No, I have nothing to do with this group. It's called לרפות, to let go from the Torah. לפי שהם מתרפים מלעזור לישראל, because they prevent themselves from help.
I gotta be really real, guys. I just spent this whole time researching that because I always thought that was true because that was a book that they let me. I think it was like, it had to be 4th grade or something. I can't believe they made us read this book if it's absolutely untrue. I have to look more into it.
Helping the nation of Israel, whether they're Jews or not, either way. וכל רצונם הוא, and all their wish and all their desires, למעבד תו אומות העולם, to look good in the eyes of the nations. So in the time of the Holocaust, and again, I'm just giving an example of the Holocaust. This is a broken record that happened for the last 2,000 or 3,000 years. Also in Egypt, they had the exact same thing going 3,400 years ago. But they rather look good in the eyes of the nations and to be on the good side with the Gentiles. Just don't associate me with these Jews. Now, I know I'm saying it over and over, and a lot of people don't seem to get it. When I keep saying about Zionism and Zionists, that I'm cutting it, a lot of people don't seem to get it. I see comments that people are sending, and questions that people are sending. A lot of people...
Okay, I'm sorry. I found it. It was in 1940. It's a popular legend portrays King Christian X of Denmark wearing the yellow badge on his daily morning horseback ride through the streets of Copenhagen, followed by non-Jewish Danes responding to their king's example, thus preventing the Germans from identifying Jewish citizens. Queen Margaret II of Denmark has explained the story was not true, which I don't know if that was true before when I was a kid or not, because no order requiring Jews to wear identifying marks was ever introduced in Denmark, so it's pure bullshit. So, a little good, a little bad news. Sorry, we have to continue there. I feel better about it, though. It's balanced in my mind. That was really troubling me. I thought I'd been lied to my whole life.
Sending, but I'm a Zionist. No, you're not a Zionist. You are pro-Israel. You love Israel. You love the Jews. You love the land of Israel. Don't call yourself a Zionist. It's almost like calling yourself a Nazi. You know, and I will dare to say it out publicly. The Zionists are the one who did the Holocaust, by the way. Hitler was a puppet, like many others.
So you could tell that they cut there, but shit was getting deep.
First of all, just to make things...
I'll also say that he probably ranted for a while because this one's about 30 minutes shorter than the other ones. About 20 minutes shorter. So it was probably like a good solid rant. I don't know if they just cut that to put that out elsewhere or just to not have that on the air.
Things clear, the United Nations is a terror organization organized and established by the Zionists, the Zionim. The Zionim are not people you think they are. And when you're saying somebody like Herzl, people have pictures of him all over government offices. Herzl was worse than a Nazi. Herzl was one of the main Zionim, and there are many others. Just that people don't like hearing it. It hurts to the heart, besides that they're misinformed and very not educated. But the Zionim are the ones who created and established and promoted the Holocaust. They just needed some cuckoo that will push with it, and so they found the right cuckoo.
And these, these guys are like fucking George Washington or whatever. Like, they're not that long ago, but the way you learn about them as a kid is that they're these great heroes, but you'd never hear any fucking details. You get one or two like cherry tree type anecdotes, you know. So Rabbi here is breaking it down.
But with that said, where did we take off? Oh, so I was saying, many people don't seem to get it, and Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to have to make a lot of classes to expose the right information. People still get offended and don't understand when I'm saying that the Zionism is evil. They don't get it. No, Zionism is great. It established the Jewish state. No. Actually, yes, it did establish the Jewish state to kill all the Jews. It's much easier to kill all the Jews when they're all in the same place. Besides the fact they don't want to kill only our bodies, they want to kill the souls. Exactly what Antiochus did at the time of Hanukkah. We don't care.
Antiochus was a Greek king, and Hanukkah, obviously, is the story of Hanukkah.
If you live or you die, we just don't want you to believe in God. So I'm going to have to make a lot of classes about it to clarify, and I'm sure a lot of people still won't get it. But Tzionut, Zionism, is coming from a very evil root. It's not pro-Israel. It's not pro the Torah. It's the complete opposite. And people have to start getting it, because people don't understand that they were misled and lied to for the last 200 years. Now, I don't know how I got to this now, but the point is that even at the time of the Holocausts, the Holocausts were the Zionists were the architects of the Holocaust, including with the Nazis and the American government, which later on, after the Holocaust, the American government who took all these Nazis to America in a secret, it's not such a secret, but a secret mission paperclip. They established the CIA, they established NASA, which is really NASA, they established the FBI, etc., etc. People don't know all these things, and when you tell them, they're like, what? You're like hallucinating or something. But that's the reality, and better to start getting a reality check that you see it now before it gets exposed in a way that you're really not going to be able to digest it. But going back to what I'm saying is, why am I saying that? Because there's proofs and documents that many Zionist leaders sold Jews for money. And people give them the utmost respect. Streets are named after them, and so forth here in Israel. And they don't realize that these are people who made business deals with Nazis for money, for power, for control, for greed. So, Be'ezrat Hashem, bli neder, and everything is documented. What I'm saying is not some theories. Everything is
by the help of God before long.
Documented. Everything is there's proofs to that. Of course, mainstream media, you're not going to find things like this on Google, because Google is part of the Erev Rav. You're not going to find this information. People ask, where can I find this information? Well, you're definitely not going to find it on Google. And you're definitely not going to find it on other platforms, because that's not what they're interested in you learning. Google is going to give you exactly what they want you to read and think that is the information. You need to find the information in other places. But I don't know how I sidetracked to that, but it's all very important to know. And I know a lot of people don't like me saying that, and I'm going to have to repeat myself like a broken record over and over. Zionism is rooted in a very evil place. Zionism is against the Torah. It's against our principles. It's here to kill the Torah. It's to fight against God. There's a war declared on God many, many years ago. So you have to start, either educate yourself. Go, there's books, there's documents, there's documentaries where you can start seeing that it's all coming from a bad place. Now, a lot of them are Jews. A lot of them are not even Jewish, by the way. But a lot of them are Jews. Herzl, Imach Shimo V'zichro, was a Jew who says very clearly in his diary that he wanted to, first of all, he converted to Christianity. He would celebrate Christmas. He didn't circumcise his son. He lived like a Christian. He renounced his Judaism. You go look at his diaries. Go look at his documents. Well, you're not going to find it, of course, in the museums in Israel, but everything is documented. He wanted to do a mass conversion in the main square of Berlin to convert 10,000 Jews to Christianity. You have to read all the biography of these people. And they didn't hide anything. Some of it was hidden. So a lot of them are Jews. A lot of them are not even Jewish. But the ones who are Jews and the ones who are not, In many cases, when they saw...
You'll note I'm not disagreeing with any of this shit because I wrote a paper about this shit in, I think it was 12th grade. I had Jewish history every year, right, all through school. So this was my like thesis. Finishing school was all this shit, bro. The fucking teacher said she never got the paper, and she gave me a grade without it. She gave me a 0 on the paper, but she said she never got it. She didn't straight up say like, no, I won't grade this shit. This content is objectionable. Nothing. She just said she didn't get the fucking paper. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt him. This is triggering for me because of that.
The situation is getting scary and tough. Not only that they didn't stand to help right away. No. I'm not part of that. And there are many, many stories and proofs and documentaries showing how many in the Jewish leadership, they sold communities, sold them physically for money. So this is what we're talking about. And what is their desire? Le'me'abed tav imumot ha'olam. As long as I look good in the eyes of the nation. This is what Herzl wanted, by the way. He wanted to be part of the Christianity, part of that scene. The problem with this type of people, they don't understand that many of the Gentiles don't want us to be part of them. They don't want us to be assimilated with them. When Herzl came with all his weird ideas to many Gentile leaders, they were like, get out of here, we don't want you. You're a filthy Jew like all the rest of them. We don't buy your show that you're pretending to be so pro-us. But these group of people, in a nice way, you can call them tuches kissers. They kiss the tuches of whoever they want them to like them. They can care less if they're selling their brothers and sisters to go to death camps. What is the...
It's only moderately different than American politicians, if we're being very real. Or politicians of any group, right? They're politicians.
What is the...
But he's also talking about more than politicians. He's talking about private actors. And that's a whole other level of thing, right? Like people who will legit sell out their people for money. Not just like snitching, but literally sell human beings for money.
Desire of this Erev Rav, le'me'abad tav im umot ha'olam. To look good in the eyes of the nation. Alayu itmar, it says on them, refaim bal yakumu. This is in the book of Yeshayahu, chapter 26, verse 14, and it says, slackers
Book of Isaiah
shall not rise. That's how the prophet Yeshayahu calls them. she'onsham shel elu shelo yakumu b'tchiyat hametim. The punishment of these individuals, that they're not going to be resurrected in the resurrection of the dead. Bezimna de yete pakid al Israel, at the time when the nation of Israel are going to be called to be redeemed. Itmar behon, it says on them, v'te'abed kol zecher lamo. This is also a verse from the book of Yeshayahu, chapter 26, that it says that all the memory or the remembrance of these individuals will be eradicated completely. They'll completely be destroyed. So just to conclude, and this is all about the Rephaim. It's not that we're going to have a long class talking about the Rephaim. The Rephaim are the ones, Jews and non-Jews, that when things are going well, they attach themselves to the Jews because they're famous, they're powerful, they have money, they have influence, they have status, and so forth. I call it, excuse my language, the tuches kissers. And then when things go a little bit bad, sorry, I don't know who you are. You're a traitor. You're a backstabber. When you needed me, because I was in a position, you were my best friend. And now, when I'm down on my luck because the government goes against me, suddenly you have nothing to do with me. And worse than that, not only that you are backstabbing, you're not even willing to stand and protect or to protest. This is the group of the Erev Rav. So it's a very small group, by the way. The Amalekim are all over the place. The adulterers, the Nephilim, I can't even say in percentage, it's probably the majority. Probably we have a little bit of it too. We all have our little cuckoo-ness when it comes to the department of Once I used to say constantly marital relations. Somebody corrected me, told me it's not marital relations. Marital relations is when you're having it with your wife. This is not with your wife. So he told me another word, I don't remember the word. How? No. He told me a different word. He says, don't stop saying marital relations, because marital relations is when you're with your wife. I mean, I don't want to say the word sex and other words like that. But he told me a different word. He says, because these are the same type of relations, but when it's not with your wife, with a woman that is not your wife, or chas v'shalom, a man or a kid or a dog or whatever, people, I don't know what they come up with to their imagination. But the Nephilim are the adulterers, and that's the majority of people, and even people who are normal, they still have some type of a distortion in their brain when it comes to that department, all the kookiness that people have in their heads. The Giborim, and we said this is straight out from the Jewish nation, the ones who are pretending to be rabbis, pretending to be pious, but the Rephaim, it's a small amount of people. Can be Jews and can be also non-Jews. Now, let's concentrate on the Jews. I will call them backstabbers, traitors. And when you are high not from drugs, high in your position and times are good, then they're your best friends. And when chas v'shalom, when the evil is coming, not only that I have nothing to do with you, I will tell exactly where you are, I will turn you in. Why? Just because I want to be on the strong side, on the winning side. On the side of that I don't want to be hurt, chas v'shalom. Now this is not some theory, because it happened very clearly in the Holocaust. It happened almost in any generation where the government or the regime came against the Jews, whether it was in Europe, whether it was in Soviet Union, whether it was 500 years ago in Spain, whether it was 2,000 years ago at the time of Beit HaMikdash. There were always the ones,
The Great Temple.
from the nations who says, no, I'm out. I don't want to be part. And what is the punishment? They're not going to be resurrected in the time of Tchiyat HaMetim. Do tshuva as much as you want. You are not. This is what the Zohar says. I'm not saying anything, by the way. Everything that I'm saying, I'm reading. The Zohar says they're not going to have the opportunity to get up in Tchiyat HaMetim. Can you imagine what a severe punishment it is? That a person will not be resurrected because they're willing to sell out their own team, traitors. And again, everything that I say here is with exceptions. Sometimes people do it. Listen, I can't judge anybody. I don't know how I would react when I would be tortured and my nails would be pulled out from the fingers, and whatever torture people went through, and then they gave names or whatever. I'm not judging anybody. I don't know how I would react, how much mesirut nefesh I would have when I would be under torture, because a lot of these people, they're not doing it willingly. A lot of the people were tortured to death till they were giving a name over. So we're not judging anybody, we're just stating information. Here is not talking about the ones who were forced after severe torture and they broke. It's talking about the ones who willingly ran to sell out their brothers and sisters. Each and every one of us, most likely, under severe torture, will say whatever they want us to say. That's how it usually works. That's
In my opinion, by the way, you can cast this out to every group. This happens to be by Jews for Jews, because that's what the text was. He's a rabbi talking to a Jewish audience. But I think these principles apply all around, in my opinion.
cut to the chase. He's not talking about the ones who were forced to do that. He's talking about the ones that willingly, right away when they saw the situation is going bad, right away, backstabbers. These are the type of people that even when we're not talking about Erev Rav, I can't stand backstabbers. Oh, you use me when you need me, and then when you don't need me, you stab me in my back? That's a traitor.
All right, I think we'll wrap it here. Because, number one, we've done this for quite long, and he gets to the point where he's not reading from the text anymore. He's just kind of ranting. And I believe that's about the part we're at right now. Because he said he covered the whole verse. He stretches it for an hour, or I guess more because they cut it 3 times. But, yeah. I mean, the link's obviously in the Discord if you guys want to go ahead and watch the rest of it. I just wanted to cover the verse. My whole goal with this is to share this idea that there are these different groups that control the world in a variety of ways. And plug that into the context in my own spiritual background, spiritual experience, work, etc. with spirits that I've encountered out there. And it jives. You know what I mean? It definitely jives. they get into people, or they're born in people, or one or the other. And they have these traits. You know, you see these traits in the world. Probably about 5% of the world encompasses, like, and this me shooting from the hip, these traits. Not everybody. It's not all you know, some of these traits. But if you're talking about like the people at the extreme, people who are at the extreme top of things do extreme things to get there. In order to be extreme and able to do extreme things to get there, there has to be something kind of extreme about them. Nobody just sits on their couch and ends up running a country. And yet nobody follows a self-directed path. It's just kind of happens. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see. I mean, Donald Trump didn't prepare his whole life to be the president of the United States. It's rather self-evident, right? But he got it. That dude was the president. Bill Clinton did not prepare to be the president of the United States his whole life. Or Barack Obama. Or fucking anybody else, man. George Washington did not prepare to be the president of the United States his entire life. And nonetheless, that happens. And they have that power and that responsibility. So what are they going to do? Well, they're going to find like-minded motherfuckers, I guess. And do their thing together. It's an option. It's out there. You know, anyone can I guess tap into it if they want to do that. I'm not judging either, but that is what the Zohar presents to us, right? The Zohar presents to us this idea that there are these types of souls that go back to the time of dispersion, the Tower of Babel, and they have the same traits to them. All of us have some residuals of these clinging to us. The idea is to cleanse and purify ourselves from them. But there are the ones that are just like not the clinger, not the expression, not the husk, or not the, that are the expression, that are not the husk of one of those. The idea is that at the time of the flood, there were a bunch of these things, and their husks got left around. And we get trapped in their husks. But they're in full form still here, like cicadas, I kind of picture them. I don't know. Anyway, let's do meditation. I've been doing a lot of meditating because I've been camping, so I'm fairly open to suggestion. What do you guys want? All right, no response and dead air. Two things I don't like, but no response is because of the lag. I know that people just have it on in the background. We'll go YouTube, and we'll go. I mean, it would be really cool, I think. To just redo one of the ones we've been doing. I mean, do you guys want to continue on what we were doing last week? If I get a vote, that'll be dope. Anybody, help me out with that. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to be the boss here. Okay. You're down for the energy field one again, Snow Off the Bluff? Well, then let's keep doing that. That's a really good one. To me, a good practice is energy field. I'm all over the place. Let me answer your question as far as ones we haven't done in a while and give you some choices there. And then we can talk about the other options. Like stuff, there's some hard ones there. One is just sitting. That's the hardest one. Quote unquote, like a frog on the lily pad. That one's tough. It's the hardest one, I think. Another one is there are different breath ones we haven't done. Like we haven't done there's a Joe Dispenza like guided one that's pretty good. There's like different yogic breathing ones that are pretty good. There's I'm trying to think of another one. Yeah, I guess like a kind of a tour of Eastern meditation techniques. We could do like a sampler, you might call that. So we did that like way back in the day. By that I mean like 3 months ago. But you know, let's dive in it. Let's do energy field. If everyone likes energy field, no one's objecting. No one's be like, no, fuck that thing. We're not doing that. And then let's do it. I have the thetas queued up. You guys know the deal. Let me get my phone so I can set my timer. Boom.
I'll be honest, when we do energy field, my mind wanders. It's okay. I just go with it, but I don't stay consistently focused on my energy field. Which is kind of what you practice, right? Notice that, bring it back. Notice that, bring it back. That's that's part of what you were practicing here. 1,000%, you know? Let's see. Timer. 10 minutes. All right. Let's go. was good. Hey, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. Whew, let's see who's here. I think someone showed up during that. I always think it's interesting when people tune in during meditation. Like, what do they think? Are they tuning in for that? That's interesting. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed that one. We're going to say the prayer, and I'm going to go evaluate my work for the day, and hopefully wake up a little more. Cut out the energy drinks. And I'm feeling, and I've been moving at camping pace, so this is all a little much for me right now. I might need to get some more coffee. All right, gang, let's do this thing. Taking in a deep breath, taking into ourselves all the sources that sustain us. Taking a moment to be grateful for every one of those sources. The sources that lead to us being here in this moment. From our ancestors, to the material constitution of our body, to the Almighty Creator, to everything that happened in the chain of causes between us and the first cause. Let us give our thanks and appreciation. And through that, may we ascend each rung in reunion with the first cause peacefully as we pass through each one of these gates in our lives. As we move through our trials, through our affairs, through our happenings, through our successes, through our satisfactions, through our realizations, through our development and our refinement, may we meet each new stage and each new step of the journey with peace. May we be at ease, even in the most challenging of times. May we rise to the challenge without too much anguish over it. May we be blessed to make the right decisions and therefore sustain ourselves and live out our days in a polished state, as perfect as we can achieve, to continue our work from there. And let us all say, Amen. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thank you all. I love you all. I bless you all, as always. I'll see you guys back in normal mode by Wednesday, but I'll be back here tomorrow morning. I'll probably still be in this state, but by Wednesday we'll be back to normal.